Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Robert Phoenix, and we are back for another edition of the Astro Weather. As I finish off my morning cup of coffee, I really like this mug. I like this mug a lot. I want to give a shout out to Jolie, who sent me this mug. I'm not sure if she watches the show. She does occasionally, but thank you, Jolie, for the mug. It's one of my favorites, actually. I love the innocent spirit of the deer. And you can't see it, but there's actually the picture of a little deer on the inside of the mug. You see that? You see that right there? You gotta love that. Okay. Let's see who we got going on here today. Melissa Stanton, Michael Cisternino, Julie Sunshine 333. Feeling blessed. God bless you, Julie. Hump the leg of a sad stranger today if you come across one. Making sure to do the pelvic thrust sort of moves. Keep it funny. You'll walk away laughing. I've done it several times for COVID-19. There you go. There's your daily medicine. Hump a stranger's leg. Give it a good couple of hip thrusts. And if you're a dude, just do the same thing because everybody can do it, right? That's where we're moving. Pluto and Aquarius. Everybody can do it. Because it's hump day. Kate the Gardener. Thank you, Julie. That was actually pretty funny. Debisu. Hello, Debisu. Barbara Boots. We got BB. We got Dee. There's Devin Dewar feeling this Virgo moon. Using it to be productive. I got a little something. I got a little something to share about the Virgo moon today. Jackie Lorio, Alaska Raven, what's happening? What's happening? PMSO Janine in the house. I subscribe to Orlando. Everybody should subscribe to Orlando's Coffee with Scream. Orlando's great. Orlando is one of the great unknown storytellers and commentators living today in America. Orlando is an American treasure. She's that Appalachian prairie home companion. That's what she is. Tracy F. What's happening, Tracy F? Sharon Lewis. Hi, Sharon. And then Janice Phillips. Let's see. What does Janice have to say here? What in the world is going on lately? I can't stop hurting myself. Now I rolled an ankle and stabbed my other foot with a butter knife. At least it was a butter knife. And Darlene, road trip. What's happening, Darlene? There's my guy, Ryan. What's up, Ryan? Stephanie Hunter, another good day. Yes. Tom in the house. What's happening? Yes, sign up for locals. I'm going to be over there today. That's right. Paying to visit the locals. Lana's here. Hi, Lana. Who else? We have Josie's Jazzy, John Triple J. I'm quite sure Texas, if I hump the leg of a sad stranger, are you? Yeah, that's Texas. I was thinking about that, Triple J. I was thinking about that. I don't know if that would play here. Let's see. Are you ready for the funky music? Me neither. Stays in my head for hours. We've been playing some nice little tasty ambient grooves over on 15 minutes. That's right there. 15 minutes of flame. Thank you, Ryan. We're gonna skewer pop culture today. We're gonna have a little humor. Everything's been so serious lately. Today we're gonna have a humorous show. And I know that you guys appreciate a little humor every now and then. Liddy Lou. What's happening? There she is, a lovely and talented one. Saving awesome one tooth at a time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, Like, subscribe, hit notification bell. Like, subscribe, hit notification bell. Yes, and you can buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you, Ryan, right there. Appreciate that. Let's see. Who else do we have? Let's see. Green Hat Crew. What's happening? If you'd like a reading. By the way, I'm going to show you what I did yesterday. Ryan, thank you. It's a nice lead in. So yesterday, because Skype went away. Skype is gone. It is gone, daddy, gone. And so if you are new to the world of Robert Phoenix and you want to get a personal reading, let me show you what you do here. This is what I did yesterday. This was my dance with the Virgo moon. So right there, that is a phone number that you can call. When you see, I'm old school here a little bit. I'm an old school guy. So there's the phone number. However, you can also go over here, and this is what I did yesterday. I had to make a new video. Oh, what? Oh, damn it. And I thought I had, hold on now fuck. This sucks. Now I got to go in and undo that. I was going to show you guys. I was going to show you my work. My proof of work. Okay. So let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Let's see. We have audience. Hold on. No. Unlisted. Yeah. So I don't understand this. It should be just unlisted. Hold on. Let me do that. All right. Let me see here. I don't know why this thing is like that. I done all this work, and I was so proud of it, and now I can't show it to you. Hold on, let me get rid of that. Get rid of the stop share there. Damn. Hold on. Oh, I know what I did. I got too clever. Too clever for my good. Let's see, where is it? Allow embedding. Okay, so I think this might work. Now I'm doing my allow embedding. All right. Recording date. Anyway, I'll show you because it's on YouTube. And that's what I use for. Let me try this again. Here we go. Get it. Hold on. All right, Robert. That's enough. That's enough, Robert. Let me just show you real quick. This is what I did yesterday. See, all I had to do was make a little tweakeroo. Right. Okay. So if you go to my website and you do get a reading, there is a video right there. There is a video that will show you tell you how to go about reaching me. And I'm gonna turn the well, let's see. But there it is right there. You know what? I should also put it right here in the text as well. The Virgo moon is still kicking in. So there you go. By the way, I have to say, unashamedly, I like AI. It helps me make images. Ain't gonna lie about AI. All right, let's get going. Let's jump into the way. Everybody, thanks for being here. If you're new, welcome. A lot of very friendly people in chat. Make yourself feel at home. Grab one of those comfy lounge chairs over there. We all have slippers, nice, cozy slippers. And every pair is brand new every day. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Go grab some of those slippers. Brand new every day. Okay. Here we go. Is that it now? Yes, we are now. We are now. Although it's, you know what? This is what happens when you're watching the Warrior game and you're putting the show together. It would help if I got the AM and the PM. Right. You know, being that I'm a 29-degree Virgo, with the sun that squares Jupiter, I guess Jupiter sun, which is good. I mean, it's, you know, it's allowed me to take some very interesting risks in my life, but sometimes I'm also a little bit sloppy. And one of the things that I got into a habit of doing with everybody that I do a reading with is I always ask them before we start the reading, is this your date of birth, time, and place? I learned the hard way that this is what you must do before sitting down with every person. Because if it's not, then I have the ability to correct it before I do a reading. And not that I'm going to make it all about me today, but one of the things that I do when I do, there is some prep time, but it's not a lot. I'll look at a chart ahead of time and I'll see some of the highlights. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, look at that. But I usually go in cold and start building a reading or building an assessment very quickly. And that's due to the fact that I've been doing this for such a long period of time. I mean, I've done thousands and thousands of charts. So I think I'm in some sort of Malcolm Gladwell territory. But I've also had the ability to improvise very quickly, which is in the chart. And it's helped me. It's helped me be able to be very productive when I do this. And so, yeah, I do some prep, but I don't write a ton of notes, and I like spontaneity and I like being in the space of another person, even if it's over the internet, because interesting things happen when, you know, we're in that space. So just a little background, but I always got to check now. I always have to check because it's very embarrassing. I've had it on more than one occasion. I start going down the line. Oh, you've got my time wrong. It's AM, not PM. Oh shit. Okay. Rewind. Let's do it again. These are the things. These are the professional ins and outs of being an astrologer that you just gotta know. All right. So we got Sun. I love the fact that we have Sun in the 12th house. I've mentioned that before. And the Sun is approaching the Capricorn decan, as they say. That moon still in Virgo, 20 degrees. We got a nice trine with the sun, a nice trine with the moon. Very nice trine with the moon. Uranus moon trine, sun moon trine. So if you were going to do routine, do it differently. Mix it up. Mix it up. Routine doesn't have to be boredom. Doesn't have to be boredom. If you're doing something basic, like around your place today, if that's what you're tasked with, crank up some music. Crank up some music and stomp your feet while you, I wouldn't say whistle while you work, maybe wail while you work. Chant while you work. There are people that do that. There are people that do chant while they work. It's a very spiritual thing. Very, very spiritual thing. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. You know, it's interesting today, not today, the last couple of days, I've been running this commercial, which I'm going to be talking about over on 15 minutes. I'm going to, every now and then I dive into pop culture, and I am the Sybil of pop culture. I will tell you, I am the Sybil, I am the Cassandra of pop culture, and I will tell you what's going on, because I've been forced to watch commercials now as I watch my beloved Golden State Warriors, who pulled off a great one last night, although Steph Curry pulled a hammy. Everybody's on their tippy toes now. Anyway, getting back to the chart. Have fun. Today's one of those days where, yeah, you're going to get into the routine, break it up, make it your own, be creative. Be creative. Uranus is a creative planet. It's not, if it's not creating, it's destroying. So you better get on the creative side so it doesn't destroy you. That's what I talk about in my course. If you haven't bought my course, by the way, I highly recommend it. If you want to learn astrology, a lot of you are in possession of that course, and I'm sure it's added greatly to your knowledge of astrology. It's also helped other people become astrologers and make money off being an astrologer. So, yeah, that's right there. It's on my YouTube page, right here. There's a link to it. So yeah, have some fun today. Chop it up, mix it up. Moon Jupiter square. And it's like, all right, you know what? Reward yourself. Get your work done and then reward yourself. That is the Moon Jupiter square. It's like, okay, look at all the shit I did. Oh my God, let me pat myself on the back. Whatever it is. Usually Moon and Virgo, it's going to be maybe healthy, although that Jupiter square might tempt you just a little bit with the moon. This is interesting. As far as like big picture stuff, keep your eye on the world of vaccinations. Vaccinations, mothers, maybe RFK 2 comes kind of dancing into the mix. I think today's a very interesting day to start to have those conversations. We have a Moon-Saturn opposition. You know, Moon-Saturn is I would say that most people, not all, because this is the thing about astrology. You're going to find with astrology, even the most locked down aspect, 10% of the public won't have it. The most locked down. 10% of the public won't have it. You know, I talk about with the Mercury-Neptune square, and most people are liars. At least my experience with people in this world, meaning you're not liars. But with the Mercury-Neptune square, you're susceptible to telling yourself lies and glossing over the speech and misdeeds of others. And you could be more susceptible to others telling you lies. That's a kind of a lockdown. You know, every time you see that, that's a no-brainer. Trump has it. Trump's got a Mercury-Neptune square, and he also has a Jupiter-Mercury square. So not only does he, let's say, fabricate the truth sometimes, but with Jupiter, he makes it big, really big. But one of those aspects is the Saturn-Moon opposition. And I would say the majority, not all, majority of the people who have a Saturn-Moon opposition experience either divorce when they're young, or their parents still live together in the same house, but it's not like they're together. It's like two rooms can be separate continents. So that's the Moon-Saturn opposition. And that's something that's in the air today, right? Divorce. Maybe it's the conditions of your parents' divorce that might have you might have had to deal with, right? You would think that after you get to a certain age, you're done. It's like, I'm done with this. I'm not going to, spend a lot more time crying over spilt milk. But it's still one of those things, and it feels to me like divorce is in the air, just in general. Alberta wants to divorce itself from Canada. Trump apparently wants to divorce himself from the economy. It's in the air. Saturn-Moon opposition is in the air. So that's another thing to look for today. Like, look for divorce. Divorce is a theme. And usually with Saturn and Pisces, right, that divorce is, back in the old days, getting divorced was not easy. Before they had all these no-fault divorce laws, they got kicked in with various states. California leading the way, obviously. And then the Catholic Church, lightening up the conditions for divorce. Before, you really had to go through that Saturn. You had to go through that Saturn and Pisces. You had to convince the pontiff, right, that whatever the pontiff was, could be your local priest, that these were irreconcilable conditions, and somebody had sinned against the church and therefore must be ratioed, right, as the kids say. Then once all that happened, once the Catholic Church lightened up on their divorce qualifications and states went into no fault, the divorce rate went through the roof, through the freaking roof. Just ask Gen X. They were the ones that had they got the brunt of it, because the baby boomers were the ones who had first dibs at no fault divorce in the Catholic Church, saying, hey, it's okay, it didn't work out, you can go your own way. In fact, I think they play that in mass sometimes. Anyway, today's one of those days, Moon Saturn opposition. Right? So I would say that yes, some form of divorce is in the air. Keep your eye on it. So there's a lot going on here. There's also been some really interesting stuff coming out about child abuse. And I was looking at this Mars-Pluto opposition in that context. So some of you follow me on Twitter. And if you haven't, and you're on Twitter, follow me, Astro Phoenix 9. And there's a really wild video that I put up yesterday with Shia LaBeouf's sister. And I knew he had siblings, because if you read his bio, there's like a sibling, but I didn't know anything about it. Now, what's interesting about Shia LaBeouf is when I read that his father was a clown, I knew he was handled. Like, that's all I needed to read. That's all I needed to read. And then there was some vague connection to Christianity, very vague, which is almost always a cover story. And how did I know that he was handled? Well, if you go into Kathy O'Brien's story, her husband, who was only her husband legally was her handler. And what was his occupation? He was a clown. And he was a clown that did a comedy routine opening for country and Western musicians. Nashville is a hotbed for MK Ultra programming through the country and Western music scene. And that's where Kathy spent time. Also Branson, Missouri. It's another major programming center. But I'm like, oh, Shia LaBeouf's father's a clown. He's handled. It's a trauma kid. So his sister comes out yesterday and she starts talking about who she is. I never saw her before. Born on June 4th, Gemini, and Shia LaBeouf is her twin brother. I'm like, oh my God, this Gemini stuff is in the twinning, it's going through the fucking roof. And she's talking about all the multiple names she has and how she was handled, abused, right? Put out for sex slavery. And she's like on a subway train or something. It's crazy. Should I play it? Do you guys want to see it? Let me play it for you. It's really a trip. It's in my notifications. Hold on a second. I'm going to play it for you. This so you it's wild, right? It's wild. So this is, and her last name, her legal last name is Epstein. Like, all right, here we go. Let me just play this for you. I don't normally do this, but it's worth watching because it is definitely astrological. All right. So check this out. This is Shia LaBeouf's sister, twin. Here we go. Watch this.
My name is Anya, or Anna Rick, formerly Anna Petrova, formerly Owen Theodore Epstein, born Anya Beth Epstein on June 4th, 1988 in Boulder, Colorado, with my twin brother, Shia LaBeouf, to our father, Stephen Bruce Epstein, and our mother, Shayna Sadie LaBeouf, who separated us, forging our birth certificates as part of a ritualized, highly organized, generationally planned child trafficking cult that initiates 3-year-olds and deifies incest and inbreeding. I have not been in danger, just been incredibly anxious. However, the world deserves for the truth to belong to the public. This is for accountability. If for any reason I fail to appear on my interviews this weekend, you are more than welcome and encouraged to upload everything from your accounts. Thank you.
So how wild is that? Right? How wild is that? And I put that up and reposted it. And then Mishi came in and said, well, Bob Marley's daughter is starting to talk now. I'm like, wow. So Bob Marley's daughter is coming out and starting to talk about what St. Bob might have been doing to her. Right? So I got to thinking, man, this Mars-Leo-Pluto opposition, sometimes it's sitting right in front of your face because Leo is children. Leo's children, it's childhood. We got this Mars-Pluto opposition. And here we go. Two stories come out about these young, Shia LaBeouf's a celebrity. And clearly Bob Marley's a celebrity. But they're coming out now. And it's like, wow, how much more are we going to hear while we're in this Mars-Pluto opposition about child abuse, programming? The other thing with this Mars-Pluto opposition is this, this whole Shiloh Hendricks thing happened under this Mars-Pluto opposition. And what happened? Her kid, her baby, you know the story by now, right? She's at a park, like a playground in Rochester, Minnesota, and she's playing with her kid, and this other kid comes by and steals stuff out of her bag. And Shiloh Hendricks says, "Get your hands out of there," and drops the N-word on the kid, right? And some guy from Somalia is there. We talked about this on Sunday night. And he's videotaping everything. And the Somali guy, first of all, it's like, what the fuck is he doing in this country? Yes, I know Somalia, went through a very difficult time, and Mogadishu. I've seen Black Hawk Down, which is a great movie, by the way. So I get it, war torn. We kind of help create the conditions there in a lot of ways. But in other ways, it's also kind of their thing. So let's bring a bunch of Somalis into Minnesota. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, that is Ilhan Omar and her background. She's Somali. That's how she got here. But the guy at the playground has a history of grooming and pedophilia, which is weird, right? Again, we're into that Mars-Pluto opposition territory. And he starts filming her, videotaping her, and says, "We're going to let the internet decide," right? Like it's the court of public opinion. And Shiloh Hendricks is unapologetic and flips the guy the bird. That all happens is this Mars-Pluto opposition, right? It's about children and sort of the violence in some ways. The violence that it can be attributed to people around their children, surrounding their children. And she's got the GoFundMe, and I think Shiloh Hendricks is an Aquarian, which would make sense with Pluto and Aquarius. She's born in February. I couldn't find out her birth date. But that, to me, everything what she did was like incredibly punk rock. To me, it was like Johnny Lydon. It was like Johnny Rotten, the Sex Pistols. And the reason why I think it was not only interesting but effective, it's because the guy who was videotaping it, he didn't take his cell phone. Like if he had a real problem with it, right? Why didn't he just walk up to her and say, "Hey, why did you use that word with that little kid?" It's like if you have an issue with it, it's like, "Hey, I didn't really like, if you want to get into somebody's business in public." And by the way, I would suggest that you really monitor that. I mean, if you're going to do it and your spirit moves you, then I would say do it, but I would pay attention to what you're doing. But he wasn't there for any kind of real kind of moral purpose. Because if he was, he wouldn't have needed his cell phone. He would have just had a conversation with, "Hey, look, I didn't like the way you talked to that child." And she could have said, "Well, I don't like the way you're talking to me," or whatever, right? So the rules of discourse are changing. So the reason why this thing with Shiloh Hendricks is happening the way it's happening is because of the intent of the guy that videotaped it. See, that's one thing that people aren't talking about. His intent was he was going to become an internet star. He was going to be the guy that was going to, create a ruckus and a furor, that he was going to expose her and he was going to ruin her life, right? The court of public opinion. And it's not going that way, right? This is Pluto and Aquarius. Things don't go the way they're supposed to go. And it has to do with his intent. His intent was not about creating a better experience for being a human on Earth. Because if it was, he didn't have to capture it on video. He could have just talked to her. And this is one of the reasons why this thing is blown up the way it has. It's because the guy who tried to make it blow up, number one, he shouldn't have been at the park. He's basically a sex offender in the state of Minnesota, and he's at a park, at a playground where there's kids. I mean, seriously, I've seen the guy's mugshot with his brother. They're arrested. They're grooming a 16-year-old girl who somehow managed to get out of a foster home. And once she got figured out what they were doing, she got the hell out. She escaped and went back to the foster home. That's the guy who made the video. And he didn't make the video because he wanted to make the world a better place. If it's true that Shiloh Hendricks was speaking hate speech, he was amplifying it. So again, that's all part of the Mars-Pluto opposition that's been going on. And I'm wondering how many more people are going to come forward over the next few days talking about their abuse as a child. Because it just clicked in my brain as I watched that video yesterday. Oh, shit. This is some Mars-Pluto opposition territory. We got Mercury hanging out here, right? It's towards the end of Aries. And because of that, because it's entering into the square of the orbit of Mercury-Pluto, so be careful what you say today, because what you say sticks. You can't unsay certain things. Now, if you were going to consciously, mindfully say things, well, it can have a lot of power. Unlike the guy in Minnesota, who was not conscious, who was not mindful, he just wanted to be an internet star, right? He wanted millions of clicks, and he wanted to be the guy who lit the first torch and took the first, tarred broom and brushed it across Shiloh Hendricks and lit the match. Didn't work. You didn't have the right intent. But if you have the right intent with a Mercury-Pluto square, and you're trying to get your point across, it's a powerful transit. And what's interesting here is that Mercury's in sextile with Jupiter. So if you can expand the conversation, have a bigger conversation, and remember, what is the number one rule in conversation? It is consent. You can say anything as long as you have consent. I mean, you say that you want, but if you don't have consent, it would be like, somebody with a pea shooter, trying to, penetrate a titanium wall. Like, it's not going to work. But if you have consent, then you have consent. And what happens, this is the beautiful thing, when you ask somebody if they want to hear what you have to say, think, or feel, and they say yes, it changes the quality of your conversation. Because if you just start spouting shit, and it might be true, and there's no consent, the depth, the resonance, and the potential to expand your communication with that person is limited. There's a floor, right? There's a floor. So it may be a middle to high floor. But if you have consent, then the conversation can be much more expansive. So it works both ways. Today's one of those days because we have that Mercury-Jupiter sextile. Man, you get consent, you can tap into some wisdom. It can go the other way. If somebody asks you, hey, do I know what I have to think about this? You can always say no. If you do say yes, you're going to have a better conversation. You're going to be more open. Right? This is one of the things that I work with when I work with clients, and I do I work with some of the coaching stuff. And the language is really important, very, very important. I was working with somebody on Monday, say, okay, what are the qualities you're looking for in another person? And then they bullet pointed those qualities, and I looked at the language, and it's like, okay, let's reshape your language. Let's be more specific, or let's take out the double negatives. Language is really important. How we talk, how we listen, the rules of engagement, all very important. So if you get rules of engagement today, and you got to drop a truth bomb, it'll go a lot further with that Mercury-Jupiter sextile if you do that. All right, let's get into our star of the day. By the way, thank you everybody for being here. All right, our True Hemp Science star of the day is a wild one. We got a wild one today. Our True Hemp Science star of the day is Susan Atkins. Ooh. Anyway, let's talk about True Hemp Science first before I get into old Susie Q here. True Hemp Science, your one-stop shop for all things CBD. Right there, there's a beautiful bottle of Lumina. It's a beautiful bottle of Lumina. Number G53. If you go to True Hemp Science, check out their wonderful array of CBD. And guess what? You order $100 or more, type in 15MINS. You'll get a goodie bag inside of your order. And that goodie bag, you'll thank me for it. It's a beautiful goodie bag. Gummies alone, worth the price of admission. So truehempscience.com, 15MINS. That is your gateway to the goodie bag. When you spend $100 or more, $150 more get you free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, Susan Atkins. She was one of Charlie's angels, and she is cuckoo-ca-choo. Cuckoo-ca-choo. So first of all, she's an Aquarius rising. That's going to tell you she's different. And I like Aquarius rising people. Dale Smith. I like Aquarius rising people. They're quirky. They're quirky, and strange shit will happen to them. They are the harbingers of both social order, friendliness, and chaos, because their ruling planet is Uranus. And Uranus does crazy shit. It's the nature of Uranus. So what else does she have that's very Uranian? Well, let's go over here. Venus-Uranus conjunction in Gemini. You know, Susan Atkins has a really interesting chart. She's got Jupiter at 28 degrees Sagittarius, pretty close to the galactic center. She's got Mars and Leo trine Jupiter, and she has the moon in Aries. You know what this is like? This is like the chart of a guru. I'm telling you right now. Rajneesh has a grand fire trine. The planets are different. Sun, Jupiter, Neptune. You can see that with Rajneesh. He's a Sagittarius. He has, if I'm not mistaken, Neptune in Leo. Is that right? Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo. I believe it's Pluto. Sun, Pluto, Mars. Pluto and Leo. Sun and Sag, Jupiter and Aries. But that's Rajneesh. We're talking Susan Atkins. Crazy relationships. Hello, right there. Venus-Uranus conjunction. 5th house. She's going to fall in love with strange men, right? And go over to her 7th house. We got Mars, Saturn, Pluto. Now, this is interesting. And, you know, there are people who will say, well, nothing happened during the Tate LaBianca murders. Of course, LaBianca were the couple that got murdered before the whole Tate thing. Susan Atkins has the chart of a murderer. Mars, Saturn, Pluto. 7th house. Mars, Sun square. Saturn, Sun square. Pluto, Sun square. Like, she could kill. I'm telling you, this is a chart of a killer. And what's interesting is that in the 7th house, it's the relationship, right? It's the relationship that is potentially the source of her, what I would say, calculated violence. And who is she in relationship with? Charlie Manson. She loved Charlie. So guess what I did? Because we were full service Astro Weather report here. I did the synastry for Miss Susan Atkins and Mr. Charles Manson. What do you know? He's on the outer ring. Sun-Venus conjunction right on her freaking midheaven and conjunct her south node. He dominates her chart. If somebody has their sun on your midheaven, whether you like it or not, they can dominate your chart. Let's hope it is the more beneficent qualities of the sun versus the scorching midday high noon, which is really where it's at, which is the midheaven, it's high noon, qualities of their sun. So he's dominating her, right? And she has Chiron in Scorpio, so he's finding his way into Susan Atkins. And since it's Scorpio, it's going to be sexual. That's Charlie right there. And the South Node would indicate, hey, maybe they've done this before some other time. Let's go over to the first house. There's his true node and his moon right on her ascendant, Susan Atkins. I believe the story of Susan Atkins, if I'm not mistaken, is that she'd been kicked out of her house. And she was sitting on a curb, and out of nowhere, Charles Manson appears. And when you have the true node and the moon in Aquarius on somebody's ascendant, like Susan Atkins, that is a very likely scenario. Literally, the guy shows up out of nowhere, and she has this immediate connection with him of pure and unconditional love. This is what happens. Then he becomes Charlie's angel number one. And it's that moon true node conjunction. He is like the Pied Piper. He is the Pied Piper and Susan Atkins. Not only would she kill, but she would die for Charlie Manson. And she was, as they say in the pimp world, and Charlie Manson was a pimp, but she didn't know that. He was a small-time pimp. So he had experience in psychological conditioning. Pimps are master manipulators. They are master psychological manipulators. They can run seminars. They can teach CEOs. In fact, I'm sure that CEOs have had a closed-door meeting where they brought their top salespeople in, and they paid a pimp significant money to tell them how to get into people's brains. And if they haven't, I'd like to start that business. But that's what he did. He got in there, and she would die for him. Not only would she kill for him, but I think she would die for him. I think it was pretty clear with how devoted she was. What's interesting about Atkins is, if we go back to her natal chart, is that she finds God. She finds God in prison. She converts. She writes a book about it. And you'll get this with Jupiter and Sagittarius. So that grand trine ultimately manifested itself in the love of the creator versus the love of the destroyer. Of course, the destroyer being Charlie Manson. You'll get this with Sagittarius. They will do a script flip. They will go from wild and uninhibited to, at times, very orthodox. It's part of the Sagittarian code. So she got something out of her chart. She eventually tapped into that grand trine. But she was, I could see why her parents put her on the curb. I'm sorry. She was a handful. Extremely defiant. Does not do well with authority. And then there's Charlie Manson, Mr. Unconditional Love, and the antidote to authority. So there you go. There's your True Hemp Science star of the day, Susan Atkins. And by the way, Neptune, you know, it's the highest planet in her chart. And the highest planet in our chart is our aspiration. It is the thing that pulls us. It pulls us up towards our potential. And for her, it's actually Neptune. And when we talk about Neptune, we talk about spirituality. We talk about God, the Godhead, Christianity, right? So that's ultimately where she wound up. She got there. All right. Here's your True Hemp Science star of the day, Susan Atkins. Why don't you come on over today to 15 minutes? The link is in the description of the show. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. I don't always comment in the comments, but I do read the comments. And so go ahead and leave a comment and keep the algorithm fluffy. Fluff that algorithm up. And come join us over on 15. I'm going to make you laugh today. Even with the Virgo moon, you'll get some laughs today. You'll get some groans, but you get some laughs as well. Okay? All right. You know the drill. Take good care of yourselves. Treat each other well. God bless. Love you all. Robert Phoenix signing off for now.